Did you know? Prior to working on the Golden Sun series, developer Camelot made several other RPGs. Most famously, they heavily impacted the Shining Force series. Camelot would go on to develop another RPG called Beyond the Beyond for the original PlayStation. While it was notable at the time for being the first traditional Japanese RPG available for the PS1 in the West, it was widely panned upon release. Reviewers criticized the game's length, pacing, difficulty, and overabundance of random encounters. Despite this, Beyond the Beyond was something of a spiritual predecessor to Golden Sun. Several features that made Golden Sun a rousing success, such as its combat and the pseudo 3D battle screens, made their first appearance in Beyond the Beyond. Golden Sun had a very long development cycle for a Game Boy Advance title, being in production for almost 18 months. By comparison, handheld games at the time were generally expected to be completed in under a year. The extended length of the project was mostly due to Golden Sun and its sequel, The Lost Age, originally being planned as one game. It was ultimately split into 2 installments because the combined size would have been too big for a single Game Boy Advance cartridge to hold. In order to justify splitting the story in half, The Lost Age was made to follow characters who were the antagonists in the first game, a concept the studio had utilized before. In an interview on Nintendo World Report, Hiroyuki Takahashi and his brother, Shugo Takahashi, stated, "Originally we had made a game called Shining Force 3, and it was popular here in the United States. In that game you had the ability to play as both good side and the bad side, and that seemed to be a really nice way for the players to understand the entire setting and a good way to convey information in the story. And so when we were doing Golden Sun, we again thought, well, we could expand upon that." Golden Sun's initial design documents outlined it as a Nintendo 64 game. Development started very late in the N64's life cycle, however, and the project was moved over to the Game Boy Advance. This actually helped the game in the end, as it released very early in the Game Boy Advance's life and became the first major RPG hit on the system. Conversely, the third game in the series, Dark Dawn, was released late in the DS's life, 7 years after the release of The Lost Age. The long wait for a sequel was a source of much frustration for fans, even prompting some to make hoaxes of a potential third installment. The most circulated of these was called Golden Sun: The Solar Soothsayer. According to an online post, The Solar Soothsayer was a DS game announced at a small pre-E3 event, complete with screenshots supposedly taken on a cell phone. The rumor ran rampant for some time, but the screenshots were eventually proven false, as they reused promotional artwork for The Lost Age. The creator of the hoax, a forum user who went by the name Opium, later came forward and explained that he'd created the hoax to generate a discussion about a new Golden Sun game. While Hiroyuki Takahashi learned about the hoax during an interview with Engadget, he was enthusiastic about it, remarking, "The Solar Soothsayer sounds really cool. I wonder how the story would go. I want to see how it would turn out." Even though Dark Dawn took 7 years to come out, Camelot intended to work on a third Golden Sun shortly after The Lost Age. The project had to be put on hold as the team were busy working on the Mario Tennis and Mario Golf games. After this, several employees left Camelot, and the Takahashi brothers thought their new staff weren't ready to tackle development of such a large-scale game. In an interview posted on Camelot's Japanese website, Hiroyuki Takahashi said the idea to make a new Golden Sun game for the DS came to him after drinking a lot of liquor at a party. Since Dark Dawn was being made for the DS, the team naturally wanted to take advantage of the system's features and toyed with the idea of playing the game using only the touchscreen. Golden Sun featured a system that allowed players to carry over their save data into the Lost Age, either by way of a 260-character password or by using the Game Link cable. To many players' dismay, Dark Dawn didn't include any kind of data transfer system. According to Takahashi, they decided not to include it because Dark Dawn took place 30 years after the Lost Age, so there wouldn't have been much benefit to transferring the save data anyway. There are some interesting unused assets and secrets in the Golden Sun series. Hidden in the code for the first two games is an alternate character portrait for Alex. What's interesting is that the image is located in the same area reserved for the portraits of playable characters, suggesting Alex was intended to join the player's party at some point. There's also an unused NPC sprite for the character resembling Link from The Legend of Zelda in the data for The Lost Age. The sprite's intended purpose is unknown, but it's thought to be simply a nod to the Zelda franchise. When starting a new file in the original Golden Sun, the player will be given the option to change the name of Isaac, the main character. If the select button is pressed 3 times on the name input screen, the player will also be given the option to rename the other party members, Garrett, Ivan, and Mia. On Mia's name input screen, if the player presses up, down, left, right, up, right, down, left, up, then select, they can also change the names of Jenna, Felix, and Sheba. It's also possible to get a secret bad ending in the first game. Early on, the Great Healer will ask the player if they will accept responsibility for the fate of the land. If the player answers no and leaves the room, the screen will turn gray and a message will appear saying, "And so the world began drifting toward its fated destruction." The TV commercial for the first Golden Sun is famous for having absolutely nothing to do with the game. Dark Dawn referenced this by including the Chandelier Dragon from the commercial as a new summon. Camelot also referenced some of their older games. In The Lost Age, there's an injured shopkeeper behind the item shop in Madra. Casting Mind Read on her triggers the text, "Eyes, shining in the darkness. No, go away." Shining in the Darkness is the first title developed by Camelot and the first entry in the Shining Force series. Shining Force featured the character Dark Soul as the game's antagonist. In The Lost Age, the final boss, Doom Dragon, has an attack named Dark Soul Grasp. The future of Golden Sun is uncertain, and Hiroyuki Takahashi said that whether Camelot makes a fourth game depends on how much fan demand there is. Don't forget to subscribe to DigiKnow Gaming for more facts and trivia. Before you go, we'd like you to vote on what you'd want to see covered in the future, a video on Xenoblade or a video on Shin Megami Tensei. You can also vote by leaving a comment below. Make sure you also check out digiknowgaming.com, and if you like this video, check out some more videos. Also check out this acapella I did of Isaac's battle theme from the original Golden Sun, and if you like that one, head over to my channel to see more acapellas from other games like Xenoblade and Shining Force.